Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for part 2 of the Monday Q&As, so let's knock this out. First question. Hello Jason, I am a 23-year-old male that has been prescribed TRT by my doctor. I am currently on 1,000 milligrams of testosterone every month, and wanted to know if this would affect my ability to build muscle in any way compared to a person of the same age not on TRT. Thank you. If he's giving you 1,000 a month, that's coming out to about 250 a week, or he's got you on the testosterone undecoinate, and he's giving you 1 shot per month of like those 4 milliliters. In all honesty, to get a prescription that high, you had to be at rock bottom levels. You're producing pretty much zero. Now, I'll tell you from most of the data I've seen over the years, when you're put on that amount of dose, around 250 per week, in studies, human studies, where they've given you another drug to completely suppress all production so that you're running completely upon the injected testosterone. So it's simulating a person who has full suppression and produces no testosterone at all. Usually the muscle gains that I've seen on that is going to be about 50% more muscle per month than the average person could make without drugs. So you're going to gain muscle at about 1.5 times the rate that you would if you were producing your own normal testosterone in the normal range with what they're giving you. Just as a rough guideline. So yeah, you're going to have a clear advantage. All right, next question. For a drug-free hammer thrower in off-season, we'll still be practicing technique, trying to up frequency to 6 times per week. Do you recommend lifting every day or 3 to 4 days per week with some twice a days? All right, brother. As a hammer thrower, the only reason you're lifting weights is to put on overall size and strength. And you can do that since you don't need sport-specific training from your lifting for your hammer throw, because it is its own technique and strength work. You shouldn't need more than 3 or 4 days per week of actual lifting, and you don't need 2 a days. It's not going to benefit you. If anything, it's going to interfere with your ability to do enough of your technique work and your general conditioning work. So no, 3 days of either full body or 4 days on some sort of upper lower push-pull type setup is going to be ideal for what you're doing, and I might personally lean towards the full body 3 days a week for what you're doing. I'm going to assume you're high school or low-level college, obviously, because you don't have a good coach who's advising you yet. So you're probably at the high school level doing this. Yeah, so I'm going to recommend, again, a good full body strength program, 3 days per week, and then work up to your actual technique work with your hammer throwing 6 days a week, because that's where your real bread and butter is that technique work for that. That's what needs to be at a high frequency, something that it's actually affecting your competitive motor skills. You need to be doing that 6 days a week, absolutely. But the strength training with all the heavy barbell work, you get away with 3 days a week just fine, and it shouldn't interfere with your recovery of that and then your other general conditioning work. You don't need to do not lift 6 days a week as a hammer thrower. Do your hammer throwing 6 days a week, lift weights 3 days a week. You'll be fine. All right, next question. If someone takes 50 pounds more eating only junk food and without training, does a part of this weight gain is muscle? That's worded really weird. You need to work on your grammar, brother. But do overweight people, basically people who gain 50 pounds while being fairly sedentary, or not necessarily sedentary, but they don't exercise or train, do they gain a bunch of weight? Do they gain muscle? Yes, absolutely. For 2 reasons. Food is very anabolic. They're going to get more protein, more carbs, more fat. They're going to produce more anabolic hormones in their body and have extra surplus protein and things in their body to help build muscle mass. Number 2, they're going to start carrying around more body weight. More body weight means when they're walking and doing any day-to-day activities, such as even standing up, getting out of bed, squatting to take a shit, getting back up off the toilet, everything that they do is now moving more weight. They are getting slightly more resistance. And with more anabolic hormones and calories flowing through their body, yes, they're going to gain more muscle. Fat people usually have more muscle than skinny people underneath the fat, because food is anabolic and carrying around extra body weight puts more stress on the body and requires a little more muscle mass. So yeah, they'll gain some muscle, but it won't be anywhere near the percentage of muscle to fat ratio that someone who's clean bulking or even dirty bulking would gain who is actually lifting weights hard. But they will gain some muscle. All right, next question. Any negatives in exclusively doing pause presses, as in only pause bench, pause inclines, and paused overhead press? You mean what I do? No, I don't think there's any negatives at all. I think it's going to build more overall explosive strength, and I think it's going to give you more useful strength overall to train that way. That's how I train personally. That's generally what I advocate for most people. It may not give you the biggest triceps in the world, but it's going to give you more delt, more chest, and it's going to give you more power. And if you're really that worried about using your presses as tricep work, to where you want to do a lot of touch and go stuff so you can get more weight on the bar for your lockout, throw in some tricep extensions. It'll bridge the gap. All right, next question. What is your personal workout recommendations for a 170-pound running back? Westside, Olympic lifting, 531. No, man. Running back, a couple different things I would consider. Well, actually, if you wanted to run one of mine, if you're running back, so you've already probably been lifting over a year, try my intermediate off-season strength athlete program. That would be a good one. Another very proven one that has been proven for decades is Bill Starr's program. It's a good intermediate program called Mad Cow's 5x5. Very excellent program for your goals. Or if you want to run one of Franco's programs, Westside for Skinny Bastards would be a good choice for you also. And again, that's not the same as Westside. Keep in mind, this is Joe DeFranco's own athletic program that is only very, very loosely based on the Westside template. So any of those three would be very good. And if you wanted to try something else, go look into even some of Alex Viada's programs, because he trains a lot of hybrid athletes. And as a running back, you are very much a hybrid athlete. You need speed, power, endurance, agility. You're a hybrid athlete. So look into some of Alex Viada's programs also. So I've given you 4 different options to work with. I don't think you're going to be unsuccessful with any of those 4 if you give them 100%. All right, next question. I'm working through your previous videos, so if you've already answered this, then sorry, but what is your take on fasted strength training? I've heard the buzz, IG, more growth hormone production, a bunch of other hormonal stuff I don't get, but I don't know the buzz from facts. Thanks. Stop worrying about fluctuations, transient fluctuations in various anabolic and fat burning hormones in the body. You're not going to manipulate them enough to gain an advantage. If anything, fasted training is going to be more difficult to produce power and have any sufficient work capacity for you. I used to mess with this stuff, and the thing is, you get gassed a lot easier. Your peak strength might be just as good, but you can't sustain it through the workout as well. Fasted training is out for weightlifting. Now, the other thing to consider, people talk about growth hormone like it's some massively powerful hormone. In order to see significant benefits from elevated growth hormone levels, you have to massively spike them tremendous amounts more than what the body is even capable of producing normally. Stop trying to do it with dietary and training manipulation, because we've never found any diet or training approach that affects growth hormone levels enough to affect muscle gains, muscle retention, or fat loss in any study known to man. It's quit worrying about that sort of things. If someone is really that worried about elevating their growth hormone massively, that's why there's GHRP and other sorts of peptides out there, which are legal in the US currently, and the UK and Canada. And even those, you're going to be shocked at how little they actually do. All right, next question. Is decreasing sleep quality a good indicator of when to take a refeed? No, not really. The purpose of refeeds is generally to keep your performance higher, replenish muscle glycogen, help you recover so that you can train hard and maintain your strength and performance when you're cutting or losing weight. So the indication that you need a refeed is when your performance takes a dip. If you're losing strength in the middle of a cut on your important lifts, that's when you refeed. That should be your number one indicator. That's really the only one that's worthwhile from a physiological perspective. And as far as psychological components to it, that's too much to cover in a Q&A. That's a whole other topic. That could be a 20-minute long video. So no, look for hits in your performance. That's what you're looking for. You get 2 bad workouts in a row, probably time to refeed. All right, next question and final question of the week. Why does testosterone drop when you drop below 10% body fat? Shouldn't that be the other way around? You're carrying less fat, thus less aromatization is happening in the body. Can you explain that? Okay, this is a massive misconception. Aromatization only happens to a very small percentage of your testosterone in your body. You're not going to see large changes in your testosterone levels up or down just because the amount of aromatization, or that's not even the correct term, it's acting upon the testosterone molecule by the aromatase enzyme is what you're talking about. Now, for people who have a lot of body fat, this can occur at a slightly higher rate. But when you're talking about going from 15% to 10% body fat, the amount of aromatase action that you're going to see different in that individual is going to be so small that it would be barely, if at all, measurable. It's when you're talking of someone who's 15% body fat versus 30 or 35% body fat. That's when you're seeing quite significant differences, where you could be seeing 20% or more extra estrogen being produced. But again, if only 3% of your testosterone is converting to estrogen, 20% more, that's only 4%. That's barely a blip. That's barely a blip in your testosterone levels. And the reason you see testosterone going down when you get too lean, your body's going into a starvation mode. You have less body fat. You have less total calories and dietary fat going into your body. So accordingly, what happens, your body starts producing less of all of its hormones. It's not just testosterone. Your testosterone is going to go down. Your estrogen is going to go down. Your T4 is going to go down. Your T3 is going to go down. Tons of various hormones in the body are going to come down, not just your testosterone. And it's because you're not giving your body the recovery that it needs. It's not getting the nutrition that it needs. It is hard on your body to be ultra lean. Your body starts slowing everything down to keep you alive because it knows it's starving. If you're 8% body fat as a male, your body is starving. And accordingly, it starts shutting all of these things down in order to keep you from dying of starvation. It doesn't want you to start spending more energy to build muscle mass, so it's going to lower anabolic hormones. It's not going to want you to spend more energy burning calories, so it's going to lower thyroid. Your body is doing all of that in an attempt to keep you from dying. So the aromatization pathway should be the least of your concerns at that point. That's such a moot point that it's not even worth addressing. It's the fact that your body is basically starving to death that is causing the drop in hormones. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.